The town was small, the kind of place where the same faces walked the same streets every day, where secrets rarely stayed hidden and reputations clung to you like a shadow. For Alex, the streets were a prison. He was 17, restless, reckless, and constantly pushing against the rules that hemmed him in. To his teachers, he was a failure. To his peers, he was the boy who skipped classes, picked fights, and ran from responsibility. He wore his defiance like armor. The motorcycle he rode, the smoke he exhaled behind the schoolyard, the bruises on his knuckles, all of it was a language that said, "I don't care. I never will." But then came her. Her name was Lena Carter, though most knew her simply as that quiet girl. Wasn't the type who made waves. She was delicate, almost ethereal. Her presence so soft it was easy to overlook her in a crowded hallway. Yet, there was something about the way she carried herself, a calmness that didn't belong in a world full of noise and chaos. She dressed modestly, smiled kindly, and when she spoke, her words had the weight of honesty that Alex had long forgotten how to hear. Their worlds should never have collided. It began with a punishment. Alex, caught vandalizing the back wall of the school gym, was forced into community service. The principal, weary of his antics, had finally decided on a cruel fate. He would spend afternoons helping with the school's outreach program at the church. And there she was. Lena was already there, organizing books for children, arranging supplies, and singing softly under her breath as she worked. The sound of her voice was not powerful, but it was pure. It seemed to echo long after she had stopped. At first, Alex scoffed. "Figures," he muttered. "Perfect little church girl." But Lena didn't flinch at his sarcasm. Instead, she looked at him with those calm, clear eyes and said simply, "You don't have to like being here. You just have to be here." It was the first time someone hadn't tried to fight him or fix him. Days turned into weeks. Slowly, Alex began to notice the way she spoke to everyone with the same kindness. The janitor, the little kids who came for help, even the teachers who treated him like a lost cause. She had a lightness about her, as though she wasn't weighed down by the bitterness that seemed to choke everyone else. And yet, behind her gentle smile, Alex saw something he couldn't name: a shadow. He found himself watching her more closely than he wanted to admit. He caught the moments when her hands trembled slightly as she carried boxes. He noticed how she sometimes pressed her palm against her chest as though steadying her breath. And once, late in the afternoon, he saw her sitting alone on the church steps, her face tilted toward the fading sunlight, eyes closed, lips moving in silent prayer. "Why do you do that?" he asked one evening, more curious than mocking. She opened her eyes, surprised he had spoken. "Do what?" "Pray. Like the world is listening." Her smile was soft. "Because I like to believe it is." For the first time, Alex had no comeback. One night, as punishment for another fight, Alex was forced to help Lena prepare decorations for the school charity dance. He complained the entire time, tossing ribbons into the wrong boxes, deliberately tangling the streamers. But then Lena laughed. Not mocking, not irritated, but a genuine, warm laugh that filled the empty hall. "You're impossible," she said. Something inside Alex shifted. He couldn't remember the last time someone had laughed around him without cruelty. By the end of the night, they were sitting on the floor, surrounded by half-finished decorations, talking in a way Alex hadn't talked to anyone in years. She told him about her love for stargazing, how she believed every star was a reminder that even in darkness, light could be found. She told him about her dreams of traveling, of writing stories, of leaving something beautiful behind. When it was his turn, Alex hesitated. No one had ever cared to ask him what he wanted, who he dreamed of becoming. And somehow, with her, the words came easier. "I don't know," he admitted. "I just want to feel like I'm more than a mistake." Lena looked at him with a quiet certainty. "You're not a mistake." He wanted to believe her. The weeks stretched into months, and Alex found himself drawn to her world. He began showing up to the church even when he wasn't forced to. He walked her home, sometimes in silence, sometimes with conversations that lasted until midnight. He started changing, little by little, in ways he barely noticed. He picked fights less often. He smiled more. He began to wonder if maybe life could be more than anger and rebellion. But Lena's shadow grew darker. He couldn't ignore it anymore. She was thinner, paler, her steps slower. When she thought no one was watching, she winced, as though every breath was heavier than the last. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Alex finally asked, "What's wrong with you, Lena?" She hesitated, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Then she looked at him, her eyes shimmering with both fear and strength. "I wasn't supposed to have this much time," she said quietly. "I've been sick for a while. The doctors. They don't know how much longer I have." The words struck him like a blow. He wanted to deny it, to shout at her for keeping it from him. But when he saw the calm resignation in her eyes, the fight drained out of him. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want to be your tragedy," she whispered. "I wanted to be your hope." And in that moment, Alex realized that Lena wasn't borrowing time, she was giving it. Every laugh, every smile, every gentle word she had given them to him freely, teaching him how to live even as she prepared to die. His world was never the same again the night after. Lena confessed her secret. Alex lay awake staring at the ceiling. For the first time in his life, fear wasn't for himself, but for someone else. He kept hearing her words, steady but fragile. "I wasn't supposed to have this much time." He wanted to rage, to scream, to demand answers from a world that had already taken too much from him. But when he saw Lena the next day, walking into the church with her soft smile, he knew what she wanted wasn't anger or pity. She wanted life. Whatever pieces of it remained, she wanted them lived fully. So Alex made a choice. If time was slipping away, he would fight it with moments. The change in him was undeniable. He no longer showed up late or made excuses. Instead, he brought Lena flowers, wild ones stolen from roadside fields, never roses, because he said roses were too obvious for someone as rare as her. He dragged her to places she had never dared to go, the hidden trail behind the hills, the quiet lake that shimmered like glass under the moon, the carnival on the edge of town where neon lights painted the night. At the carnival, he bought her cotton candy and watched her laugh as the pink sugar stuck to her lips. "You're ridiculous," she teased, swatting his arm when he called her Princess of the Midway. He didn't care. Every laugh was a victory. They rode the Ferris wheel together. And as the town stretched out beneath them, Lena leaned her head on his shoulder. "I used to dream of this," she whispered. "Not the Ferris wheel, just being with someone who saw me, not the illness. Just me." Alex kissed the top of her hair, his chest aching with a mixture of joy and dread. "I see you, Lena. Always." But the shadow never left. Some days she was radiant, glowing with life as though nothing was wrong. Other days she could barely stand, her breath ragged, her skin almost translucent. On those days, Alex stayed by her side, reading aloud from her favorite books, or simply holding her hand in silence. Once, when he found her crying quietly in the church pews after everyone had gone, he knelt beside her and asked what was wrong. "I don't want to leave you behind," she admitted. His throat tightened. "Then don't." She smiled sadly. "That's not how it works. We don't get to choose the length of our days, only what we do with them." Alex hated how wise she was. Hated that she could accept what he could not. But he held her anyway, wishing his arms were strong enough to shield her from time itself. As winter came, her illness worsened. The doctor said words Alex refused to hear: palliative, terminal, inevitable. He walked out of the hospital and punched the wall until his knuckles bled. But when he went back inside, Lena was waiting with that same calm gaze. "Don't break yourself," she told him gently. "I need you whole. For however long I'm here, I need you to be the one who reminds me I'm still alive." So he swallowed his pain and gave her what she asked. He started writing lists with her, things she wanted to do before her time ended. They called it the borrowed time list. Watch the sunrise from the highest hill. Dance in the snow, without shoes. Read her favorite poem aloud in front of people. Kiss under the first spring rain. And one night, when the list grew quiet, she whispered the last thing she wanted: fall asleep in your arms without fear. Alex vowed to give her all of it. The first time they kissed, it wasn't planned. They were sitting in his old truck, the windows fogged from the cold. He had just driven her home, but neither wanted to leave. She was talking about constellations, her voice slow and tired. When he turned and saw her eyes shimmering in the glow of the dashboard, he kissed her softly, afraid she might break. But she kissed him back with a certainty that made his heart tremble. "Promise me something," she whispered against his lips. "Anything, when I'm gone. Don't stop living. Don't let my death be the end of you." His voice cracked. "Don't talk like that. I have to. Because I love you, Alex. And love doesn't get to be selfish." It was the first time she had said it. And though it broke him, it also saved him. Her final weeks were a blur of fragile beauty. He carried her when she was too weak to walk. He stayed awake through the night just to listen to her breathe. He watched her scribble words in a notebook, a diary she insisted he keep. After she was gone, one entry she let him read aloud. "I know I am dying, but I don't feel unlucky. I gotta borrow time, and in that time I found love. That's more than some people get in a lifetime." Alex wept when he read it, but Lena simply took his hand. "Don't waste tears on endings," she murmured. "Save them for the beauty of what was." On her last night, the town was silent under a blanket of snow. Alex lay beside her in her room, her frail body pressed against his chest. She was barely able to speak, but her fingers traced circles on his hand. "Look," she whispered, nodding toward the window. Snowflakes drifted down, glowing under the street lamp. "It's like the world is tucking itself in." He kissed her forehead. "Rest now, Lena." Her eyes closed, her breathing slow. "I'm not afraid anymore, because you'll carry me with you." And then with a final soft sigh, she was gone. The funeral was quiet, but the entire town came. For the first time, Alex didn't care about whispers or stares. He stood at the front, clutching the notebook she had left him. When asked if he wanted to say something, he opened it and read her words aloud. "Life isn't measured by how long we stay. It's measured by how deeply we love." And I loved with all I had. There wasn't a dry eye in the church. Years later, Alex was no longer the reckless boy the town remembered. He became someone Lena would have been proud of. He studied, he worked, he helped others the way she had helped him. He still rode his motorcycle, but not to escape, rather to chase horizons she never got to see. Every spring, when the first rain fell, he stood outside and let it soak him, remembering the kiss they shared under a storm. Every winter, he danced barefoot in the snow, laughing through the cold. And every night when he looked at the stars, he whispered, "I see you," because Lena Carter, the girl who borrowed time, had given him something eternal, not tragedy, not sorrow, but love that transformed him forever.